Welcome to the Science Shaping Beauty, the official podcast of the New York Society of Cosmetic Chemists, where you explore everything you need in beauty and personal care product development, from formula to finish. I'm your host and NYSCC chair, Anushka Nadkarni, and today's episode is especially exciting because we're recording live from the NYC Suppliers Day here in New York City. Today's episode goes beyond beauty products and trends. It's a conversation about purpose, transparency, and building a brand that helps redefine modern skincare. Indie Lee has become one of the leading voices in clean beauty, creating a brand rooted in ingredient awareness, wellness, and intentional formulation. Through her passion for education, sustainability, and high-performance skincare, Indie has inspired both consumers and industry professionals to think more deeply the relationship between beauty and well-being. In this conversation, we'll explore her entrepreneurial journey, the philosophy behind the Indie Lee skincare line, the evolution of clean beauty over the last decade, and her perspective on the future of innovation in the beauty industry. So welcome, Indie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. It's important for me to do this because I feel like clean beauty is huge now. But you did it when it was not so huge.
Hard to believe. I think they call me a pioneer, which basically means I'm old. I think.
No, we're not dating you. But we appreciate that you started the whole.
Thank you.
You're almost the flag bearer. So we love that.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That's such an honor. Okay, I'm going with flag bearer going forward.
You are. Let's do that.
Okay.
Perfect. So to start off, I would like to take us back to the beginning of your journey and what ultimately inspired you to create the line Indie Lee Skincare.
So a lot of people know this story, but started off, I don't come from the beauty industry, which I think is both a positive and a negative, right? They're both sides to the same coin. But I was a CPA, I was having an incredible career, and then I got very involved with the farm to table movement, thinking so much about what I was putting in my body.
Right.
Never really thought about what I was putting on my body. And then in 2008, I was diagnosed with my first of now what is 7 autoimmune diseases. And I couldn't work in the farm, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I started using ingredients I was growing and making little products for my sister who was about to have a baby because I didn't want anything potentially harmful on his newborn tush. But I didn't think about the bigger picture of what are we all putting on our skin.
Right.
And then a few months later, I started losing my vision. I was diagnosed with a rare brain tumor that turned out to be autoimmune related. And I was given 6 months to live. And when I asked the doctor, how is this possible? Nobody in my family has anything like this. He said, we're seeing more and more of these things being tied to the environment. And I said, I eat healthy out of an organic greenhouse. And he said, okay, yes, that's part of the environment. What you breathe in, the people you surround yourself with. He said, let me ask you a question. What do you put on your skin? What did your mother put on her skin when she was pregnant with you? And I realized in that moment, that's what this is about, that I was going to create a line that was safe and effective, but more importantly, talk about what's in our products, educate and empower people. I'm not saying you should do one thing or another, but you can make the best choices for yourself if you're empowered with knowledge. So that's where Indie Lee was born.
Amazing. I think it's so important to have like your self-discovery journey as well.
Absolutely.
Because motivation comes from within.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. I mean, nobody sets off to say, I'm going to throw out all of my... No one goes out there and says, I'm going to sell all my jewelry, empty my 401k, go into credit card debt to create a movement. Yeah. But I felt called. I honestly felt like this was the path that I was meant to be on and that this was why it happened to me. And so when I woke up from surgery, I hit the ground running, like literally woke up from brain surgery in neuro ICU. And I said, we're going to turn the website on in 6 weeks. And of course, I thought that once you turn on a website, everyone's going to come to you. I didn't realize marketing, sales, all those things. Ignorance was bliss then. But that's really how it started. And I just kept motivating myself because I would hear stories about people and what they were going through similar to me. And I said, I need to create change. And I cannot believe here we are like 16 years later and clean is not a trend. It is here.
It is here. I mean, you did create a change.
I did. It's so cool.
It's a win-win situation.
It is. I'm incredibly honored by it.
Of course. That leads to my second question. Your story is deeply personal, as you mentioned, and has resonated with so many people, right? How did that experience shape your philosophy around beauty, wellness, and intentional living?
I don't think you can go through what I've been through. Obviously, having a brain surgery in 2008 and 2009 and waking up to the rest of your life and starting at a line. But I have to tell you, it didn't stop there. In 2024, I realized I had gotten so bogged down in the business of self-care, I forgot to take care of myself, and I got sick again. And I wound up having back-to-back brain surgery in June of 2024. So for me, it's not a one and done, it's a constant journey. And the perspective that I have is to constantly be curious and ask the why we're using an ingredient, what is out there. I mean, look at where we're sitting today, right?
Yes.
All these incredible vendors sharing their knowledge and their technology that they're bringing forward. I think that's pretty incredible.
Yes.
And for me, I think beauty and wellness go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think for me, beauty isn't about the outward appearance.
No.
It's about how you feel about yourself, the confidence that you portray, how you're taking care of yourself. It's just that perspective is that it's all encompassing and that you have to live that way consciously.
Yes, I love that. So when you first launched the brand, clean beauty was relatively a niche concept, right? What challenges did you face in educating consumers and retailers at that time?
Education was a challenge. I mean, I would say, back then we called it natural and all natural. Now you can't use that. And it was a barrier to entry because there was this misconception that you couldn't have truly efficacious products and still be clean. So it was an uphill battle explaining that this was going to be shelf stable,
Right.
that it was safe and it was tested for stability, and that it can be effective.
Yeah.
And so it was really just constantly educating and showing, and a lot of free samples of trying
sure.
products. And then it finally started to take momentum. And I will also tell you, one of the other big pieces was making sure that you had your packaging right too. So you can say you are clean, but it had to look a certain way for people to want to resonate,
Absolutely.
to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And that was another big key learning is packaging does matter. Your messaging does matter.
Yeah.
Your messaging, your package, and your ingredients need to tell one story
Absolutely.
so people understand.
That's lovely because I feel like clean beauty is also such a 360-degree situation, right? You can have your clean ingredients, but if you don't have a clean preservative, for example,
Right, exactly.
you don't have a clean packaging situation,
Exactly.
secondary packaging, primary, whatever that means,
100%. And it's not an all or nothing. I mean, we're still pushing boundaries of what packaging can be, work and stable for different substrates.
Absolutely.
So it's still a work in process, but it's really exciting that it's still a work in process.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to start looking at things very objectively
Yes.
and not subjectively because
Completely. I completely agree. Yes.
I feel like the education around clean beauty is something that we need to speak about more
Yes.
in an objective way.
And not in a fear-mongering way. I think there's a lot of that going on, and we need to do away with it. And I think there's also a lot of confusion,
Yeah,
right? Because
absolutely.
there isn't when you say clean, there isn't a definition.
No.
And so different retailers are going to define it differently. Different brands are going to define
Yeah.
it differently. And I think that's part of the issue where we really need to get kind of raw with this.
Exactly. Yeah. Great. So how has the definition of clean beauty evolved over the years as both science and consumer awareness have now advanced? Thankfully. But
Thankfully. Well, I think that's just it. When I started, it was using very easily available ingredients, right?
Right.
Things that you can get from like mountain herbs, like the coconut oils, the shea butters. But now, look, you can use plant stem cells. You can get peptides. I mean, it's just
Right.
ceramides that naturally derived. You have naturally derived and clean preservatives.
Right.
Things that were not available to me when I first started. So I think it's very important that you also evolve.
Absolutely.
As time goes on, as new ingredients and new technology, you need to evolve with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I come to things like here and you see what's available and what's possible,
Yeah.
it's so exciting.
Yeah.
It's completely different. Completely
I
different.
do have a lot of hope for our industry.
I do too.
I think the sky is the limit. Truly, it is.
Absolutely. And I have the chemists and scientists to thank for it. And I
Yeah.
think that's also it's an interesting point because people think of chemicals. Well, if it has chemicals in it, it's bad. And I'm like, my water is a chemical.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. The scientist in me is so happy right now because I feel like water is H2O.
Yes.
That is a 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen molecule.
Absolutely.
Which is chemistry. So
Everything
I'm not sure.
we have is a chemical. It's chemistry. It's science. We cannot evolve without it.
Exactly.
So let's keep pushing the boundaries and just be responsible the way we do it.
That's a good point. I love it. One thing consumers appreciate about Indie Lee is the balance between efficacy and simplicity, right? What was the rationale behind product development philosophy for this brand?
Well, because I started off when it really wasn't around, it had to be very simple.
Absolutely. Understandable.
But, it's interesting because one of the products that we still have in the market today, our coconut citrus scrub, I formulated in my kitchen. And it is literally coconut oil, jojoba, lemon balm, lemongrass, vanilla extract. And it's very simple and effective and beautiful and sensorial.
Right.
But then you also have to take the science and see how can we then bring it into other products where it makes sense. And I think it goes down to what makes sense for the product that you are trying to create.
Right.
What's the why behind this product?
Absolutely.
And how can we work with our product development team and the chemists to then bring that to life in a responsible, clean way?
I think in the bargain of looking cooler, sometimes what happens is we tend to use a lot of ingredients, which might not necessarily mean that they are efficacious.
Absolutely. You know what? We don't need to be angel dusting just to put products in there. And that's the term. When I first started, I was like, what is that? And that's you're sprinkling things in. Use the right product that's going to do the job at the effective level. And you don't need to it doesn't need to be a one-stop shop in a product.
Absolutely.
Have products that are going to address the concern that you formulated for. Period.
Yeah. I do think that we could put a lot of more emphasis on the education around the product.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Rather than just loading it with a lot of things together. Sometimes it's needed. I'm not saying no.
Absolutely. And it's challenging because every ingredient will work with another ingredient and it is a beautiful dance that I think the chemists are doing on how the ingredients work together to create the standout product. But I agree with you. I completely agree with you on this.
Okay, love that. Are there any specific ingredients or formulation approaches that you feel are misunderstood within the beauty industry today?
Oh my goodness, any ingredients that are misunderstood? I think that preservatives get a really bad rap.
Yeah.
And I would say they're like, well, also when we say, it doesn't have, made without water, it doesn't need ingredient stability, doesn't need preservatives. And I think that's a very risky slope. Yeah. And I will also say just because something that is clean or natural doesn't mean that it's safe and it's effective. Yes. And I think we have to look at things at its entirety. Yes. I also think it could be very harmful if you have a product out there that does not have the correct preservative system in it. And there are now, thanks to science, ways to do it in a very clean, safe way. And that's what I'm leaning into. But I think that preservatives get a really bad rap. And I think that, again, look at where we are. I can guarantee you that half of this floor is preservative agents that are effective and that are safe.
Yeah. I just want to plug in to everyone listening here. Please do use preservatives. We need them.
Yes.
For the longevity of your product, for the stability of your product.
And for the safety of your skin and your overall health.
So please use wherever needed. Okay. That brings me to our next question. From your perspective, where do you think the beauty industry has made the biggest progress over the last decade? And where do you think we still need a lot of work to do?
So I'll answer the work to do first. We need a definition of what clean means.
Okay.
I think that we have done a disservice to the clean beauty industry by having so many definitions to it that it doesn't really mean very much.
Right.
And so it's very hard to tell a story where people are going to roll their eyes because it doesn't mean the same thing. And in some cases, it's just whether it's cruelty-free or not.
Right.
And that's not really telling the full story of the why I got into this. So I think that's where we can do some better things and have some regulation around. Now, where I think we're doing a great job is in the technology that's coming out. The science is so exciting. I get so excited every time I get any one of the industry books. I am a science geek and a gardening nerd, so I really geek out on that. And so that to me is where I think we've made such great advancements, is really in the actual science behind the formulations.
I love it. And I do think that the technology is here to stay, because I think just getting better at the technology will help us lead to making better products.
Absolutely.
And that's
more
the goal.
right? More efficacy, hopefully more responsible, making sure we're doing responsible sourcing, looking at the packaging technology. I'm not just talking about the ingredients in the goop in the jar, but what is it packaged in? It's so exciting. I'm seeing things come out from kelp. I'm seeing orange peels for things. It's really exciting stuff. Yeah. It's fun for me to be a part of this industry right now. Yes.
And I feel the same, so we're in it together. Okay. Consumers today are far more ingredient conscious, as we discussed, than ever, right? Do you think social media has helped or complicated the conversation around beauty science?
Can I say yes? Meaning
absolutely. You can say whatever you want.
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think that consumers are way more aware and I would say ingredient literate. They are really reading. I love going into stores, and not just the Credos and the clean beauty stores, and watching people turn around and look at what's in their product. Yeah. So I feel like that's incredible. And I think social media has done a really great job at amplifying those voices. Where I think it has missed the mark is that the algorithm feeds in with confidence, right? So if you go out there and you say something and you're doing it in a confident way, and maybe you have a trending audio, it's going to get a lot more. Unfortunately, no one is fact-checking some of these things that are going out in social media. And that is a very dangerous thing, I think. I mean, you can't have people going out there and saying that this is going to ruin your skin barrier when there is no scientific proof for those things. And we see it all the time. So I think that's where social media is wonderful for amplification and awareness. But the dual-edged sword is, unfortunately, sometimes it's amplifying the wrong voices. And that could be potentially harmful.
No, that's very true. And I just want to segue also into the fact that the reason we started this podcast was also based on that reason, because we felt like we have a great social media reach. So it was just inevitable for us to branch into something to give that information out through a respected source, because we are so deeply rooted in science. We have some great scientists, some great founders like yourself to tell that story without being biased to any ingredient or without being biased to any brand particularly, right? But I think, to your point, it's very much in our hands how responsibly we could use social media to create that voice.
Absolutely. It's difficult. It's not an easy situation. And I feel like between the fear mongering, so you've got both sides. You've got people who are saying clean doesn't exist. Then you've got the other side saying, well, preservatives are a bad thing. And again, unfortunately, the algorithms in social media are not fact checking. It's really based upon how much attention is that getting in the first few minutes and then pushing it out aggressively. So, like I said,
it's a little bit of both.
Yes,
I agree.
yes. But I just want to thank you, though, for doing what you guys do to actually share the education and the science behind it.
I think it was a natural branching out for us, because we were growing on social media and we were getting a lot of attention. We were getting a lot of people who trusted in us. So then it just made sense to, add on to this podcast.
Yes, I love it.
Branch.
I'm so thankful.
Of course. No, we are grateful for you to come here, but also celebrate people like you within the industry. Because a lot of times what happens is we don't really get to see the story behind it.
Yeah.
Right? Like yourself, like a lot of scientists that have come on the pod, we don't get to hear what they think about when they create that product.
Right.
Right. there's definitely the marketing aspect to it, but then really understanding your formulation sense, or what do you think, why did you come up with this product, like what was your
Exactly.
motivation or
And how do we
inspiration?
work alongside chemists?
Exactly.
I mean, I have an incredibly talented product development team, and I work closely with them, and they work closely with the scientists and the chemists. They're walking the floor right now. I
Love
just
it.
sat down with
Love
them while they
it.
were eating because they're getting the information
Right.
of what is being provided here. It's very special.
My next question is, what current skincare or beauty trends are you most excited about right now? And are there any trends that you think are overhyped?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. So on the trends, I'm very interested in the like biofermentation.
Okay.
Oh, I'm very interested in that
Okay.
and how we can bring that. Now, I understand topically there's still a lot of research to be done whether or not that does have an impact. So I understand that, but I think there's a lot to be learned
Right.
on that, and the gut brain, the gut skin, biome and axis. I think there's that stuff is what excites me, because that to me is true wellness. Right, that's not just looking young, feeling
Right.
good in your own skin. I want to talk about the actual
Yeah.
nerdy science of,
Yeah.
is this better for me? Especially when we talk about body care.
Yes.
Because let's face it, this is how much of your skin, which we focus on so much, just this part, but like the rest is
Yeah.
here. So what are we using on the larger
Yeah.
part of it? So that's the exciting part for me. The stuff that makes me not nervous, but cautious is responsible sourcing, what we're doing to the environment, responsible wild crafting, things like that. I'm not concerned about it. I'm excited, but I think we need to make sure we're doing everything
The right way.
responsibly.
I do think, like you said about the body situation, right? I think, as a formulator, I always think that it's not given a lot of importance, and therefore what happens is there's not a lot of budget allocated to
Yes.
that. So you still want to keep your body care protected. You want the best quality ingredients, but unfortunately, the consumers are ready to pay for that.
No, but they will spend $300 on the face. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is
Yeah.
going all over your body when
Yeah.
you're showering. What are you using?
And that takes us back to that point about educating,
Absolutely.
right? Because we have seen facial skincare more profound than body, for sure. But that doesn't mean that it's not equal or better.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. So again, I think it's a matter of these podcasts, having
Yes.
these honest conversations. I think bringing in the scientists and the chemists.
Absolutely.
And talking about it too. I think there's just so much excitement on there. My other thing is looking at hormone disruptors and
Yes.
how, fragrance is so big right now, which is so exciting. I love a good sensorial love a good sensorial product. So how can we do it, making sure that it's
Right.
safe and we're not having any potentially harmful ingredients?
I love that. Next question. As someone who has built a trusted founder-led brand,
Thank you.
how do you maintain authenticity while continuing to scale and evolve the business?
It's not easy. What I will say at this point in my career, I'm incredibly lucky that I work for a company. Our company was acquired. I work for a company that stands behind me and believes in my message.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy for me to be transparent.
Absolutely.
Where I don't know that that's always the case, but I'm very blessed that American Exchange, like AX Beauty, is very much about how do we continue your mission
Right.
and just do it in a much larger
Yeah.
way, which is
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then it's also not being afraid to say the hard things. Like I said it before, clean sometimes gets, a lot of fear mongering. There's a lot of greenwashing, which is a
Yes.
whole nother area that I haven't touched on, which is a big issue. And it's been a big issue
It has.
since I started the company. But, it's saying that clean does have a place here.
Yeah.
And enough with the fear mongering that is not going to help the industry whatsoever.
No.
But we are watching overseas ban ingredients. So why aren't we having that conversation here? Because
Exactly.
we know we can formulate things differently.
Yeah.
And just options doesn't mean that there doesn't have to be a product with those ingredients.
No.
But providing options so people can make their own choices,
Yeah.
which was not afforded to me when I first started. I didn't have options like I do now.
True. I do think that finding the right partner who believes.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Right?
That's
what do you
everything.
believe in?
Absolutely. I will tell you, one of the chemists that I work with when I first started is still one of the chemists that I work with today.
I love it. That's amazing. That's pretty telling, actually.
And listen, he knows my birthday. I know his.
Aw.
I know the family. I know the parents. His mother, who's like 80-something years
He's
old,
too into it now.
made me a scarf because she was worried about that. But that
Yeah.
talks about relationships.
Yes.
And how can you formulate a product for someone if you're not in a deep relationship to know what they're looking to
No,
do and the why
absolutely.
behind the
Yeah.
brand?
I love that. So congrats on that, though.
Thank you.
What advice would you give the next generation of beauty founders entering such a competitive and fast-moving industry?
Are you sure you want to do this? No, I'm kidding.
Like, do you really want to?
Right. Know your why. Know your why and
Yeah.
stick to it, because there are going to be a lot of people who say that's not what you should do, go to this niche or that. But
Yeah.
know your why, know the why behind your why,
Yeah.
and stand your ground
Yeah.
and speak up for yourself.
Yeah. It's not easy, but it's not impossible.
I agree completely. Completely agree. And now so much is possible. I mean, look at where we are.
Yeah.
Innovation is going to make this easier. It's going to make ingredients more accessible.
Yeah.
So if you truly believe in what you're doing, know what you know,
Yeah.
know what you don't know, and then surround yourself with the best in class who can fill those gaps.
Yeah. Love it. For young entrepreneurs listening who may not be from the traditional beauty background, right? What qualities do you think matter the most when you're building a successful brand today?
That's easy. Curiosity. Stay curious. Especially when you don't know the ingredients and
Yeah,
you don't come from
yeah.
it, is to ask those questions
Yeah.
and then continue to ask the questions over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And be humble.
Yes.
You know, you're not going to know everything. I do not know everything. I don't even pretend to be a chemist or a scientist. But I think asking the questions and being able to hear what they're saying is something that is very important. Sometimes we think that we know all the answers. And when you
Yeah.
do not know this industry and you are not a chemist, you've got to listen and you've got to stay humble. If they're telling you,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean just take it at face value.
No.
But I think you need to have a little bit of that humility too, especially when you don't know the industry.
I love that for you, yes. Looking back on your journey so far, what has been the most rewarding moment for you personally and professionally?
Oh my gosh, that's easy. That is like the easiest question. I mean, listen, press accolades are wonderful. I mean, truly wonderful.
Yeah.
But when you get handwritten cards from your fans and consumers saying, I've never felt more confident in my skin,
Oh my God.
or I'm going to go after my passion because you inspired me to take a chance on myself, whether or not it's in the beauty
Yeah,
industry, or wow, I've been through some tough times.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, because I get tons of DMs where people, it's not even beauty, just, how'd you get over this? I'm
Yeah.
very active in the autoimmune society
Yeah.
and community. That is it. That is the highest compliment. That is what motivates me and inspires me every day. Every day. That's why I have my personal Instagram, is so I can still keep in contact
Yeah.
with these people.
How do you beat that, right? How do you beat
can,
a personally
right?
written note?
Someone says, "Oh my gosh, I have extreme eczema, psoriasis, whatever it may be."
Yeah.
And then they said, "I feel confident going out."
Yeah.
It's not that we're curing things, but they just feel good about
Yeah.
themselves and can put their best face
Yeah.
forward. And when you're confident, you can conquer the world.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
true. So, but congrats for doing that. That's
thank you.
huge.
Thank you.
And my last question for you is, finally, when you think about the future of beauty, what gives you the most optimism?
The science. I really am a science geek.
I love that.
I know. The science and the technology, that is like so exciting. And it's not just, like I said, on the ingredient side, it's on the packaging side
Right.
too. I just think there's so much that is starting to be capable, or that I should say that differently. There's so much that is becoming available for us
Right.
to formulate with, to formulate to. Oh my gosh, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And I think that the industry is just starting to scratch the surface.
Right. I love that.
Thank you.
Now that we're at the end of the podcast, I have a small request
Okay.
that I do for all my guests. I have a pen
Yep.
and post-it note just to experience how has it been at the pod. I'm very grateful that you're doing this, but I want to know what you think, and then we can put it in the pineapple jar there.
Am I to say it out loud?
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
We're going to read it out to the last episode for the season. So that'll be a good surprise for everyone.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank
It's
you
in the
so
pineapple.
much.
Thank
I
you.
loved it.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Science Shaping Beauty. If you like what you heard, be sure to download wherever you access your podcasts. Visit nyscc.org for more information on our events. Registration is now open for all our events. We look forward to seeing you there. And until next time, keep shaping beauty with science.